this just to let everyone know as well who's not going to be here. We're not going to have any fancy slides tonight. We will have Ron sharing some of his computer to go over some of the availability. So this could be a quick meeting or it could be a long one depending on questions. But I just wanted to do a meeting before the season started to go over GameOfficials, how to use it, how to put in your availability correctly, as well as go over some of the latest and greatest things that we've gotten from Lansing. I have Jenna on and Ron with me as well, who they'll both jump in and say some things, and Jenna's helping out with admitting people, as well as if anyone has any questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat box and we'll get to them. But as most people know, and if you have not heard yet, starting April 2nd, all players ages 13 to 19 are going to have to get a test for COVID. There are so many unknowns right now about if it's once a week, if it's twice a week, if it's whatever. As referees, we don't have to worry about that. The last I heard, and again, this is an ever-changing subject, so don't hold it to me on March 23rd at 7:30 p.m. I said that referees don't have to get tested, but as of right now, referees do not have to get tested to follow under this latest order. It'll be up to the clubs. I know that Tom Farrow, who's the executive director of the state, has been on numerous Zoom calls as well as phone calls with the Michigan Department of Health and Human Services to try and get answers to this about how we go forward. So there's a lot unknown, and as we know more, we will be sure to share it through all of our channels, whether it's an email, it's sharing it on the Michigan Referee Committee website, Ron calling everyone because he's got nothing better to do. We'll make sure that everyone knows it. But the season's coming up. I mean, as a lot of you know, there's actually been a couple weeks of outdoor games, but a lot of you are getting requests to do games. Whether your availability might be up to date or not, we're just trying to get the schedules out, because as of right now, the full premier schedule, Junior State Cup, DA, I'm missing one of those in there, and higher leagues all have their schedules out. As I speak, I know a lot of the select and rec leagues are starting to send schedules in to myself, as well as a lot of the other assigners. So that's why I wanted to go over availability and how important it is as assigners to know when you're available to do games, because if not, we're trying to throw darts at a dartboard with our eyes closed and hoping for the bullseye, and it doesn't work too well. So with that, I'm going to pass it over to Ron, who's got a couple things to share.
Hey, Eric, really quick, can I ask just a quick question? I'm sorry. So can you just be clear about the, people are asking about getting their COVID shots. Referees are not required to get tested. Can you just repeat that one more time?
Correct. As of right now, the last I've been told, referees do not have to worry about testing. Referees still, no matter if you've had the shot or no shot, still have to wear facial coverings during the match, before, during, and after.
Thank you.
Somebody's asking in the chat what ages, even though it's not referees, it is 13 to 19-year-old players. Okay. Any other questions as that pertains to what Eric just went over? So welcome. Those that don't know me, I'm Ron Grobbel. I'm your SYRA. There's been a lot of questions about GameOfficials. There's a lot new to GameOfficials, so welcome, you new referees. You'll also be getting something by email. Many of you should have already, but in regards to that, there's a lot of information on our website. Going over just a couple questions. What whistle do you suggest for a purchase if we can't blow a whistle with a mask on? They do make electronic whistles. I don't know if anybody has tried any yet. Eric, have you? Jenna, have you?
The Fox 41 sounds pretty much like the real Fox 40. So,
Yeah.
and you can hold it for a longer whistle versus a shorter whistle, and it sounds very accurate.
I've had to stop a few adult indoor games. I haven't tried it outdoor, but if it's stopping
Right.
adults on the indoor, it should work well for outdoor.
Yeah. I'm a player and a referee, so how often will/should I have to get tested?
Did somebody ask about them being a referee? Referees do not get.
They're a referee and a player.
All right,
So right now, and let me try and make this as clear as I can. With the testing, as a player, I don't know the answers to how many times you're going to need to get tested. It's up in the air. They're still working on if it's once per week, if it's twice per week, or if it's once every 72 hours. So we don't know the answers to that. We're still working on it. As a referee, you do not need to get tested to referee games unless you have COVID symptoms and you feel that you need to get tested. Ronald, you.
Okay. So GameOfficials is the software platform that we use to provide assignments for most of the referees in the state. Registration, learning, and course management, most of you have used up to this point as you have registered for your course. As a reminder, if you don't have your 2021 badge yet, you need to register for a 2021 recertification course, and we'll go over that in just a little bit. But this is group 1303. Maybe that's your landing point when you start GameOfficials. See where I have my cursor, change identity? There's a link up there, and on the bottom, a change identity. Click either one, and that will give you the option to move to an official in group 1308. Group 1308 is Michigan Ref Assigning. That's where all of your assigning games will be found. It's also at your homepage where you'll find a lot of announcements. As you can see, we have a link for the MSYSA Return to Play game day process. If you right mouse click that link, it will take you to MSYSA, and you'll get the latest up-to-date messages that all of the clubs are getting, okay? We summarized a few points within that information, and at the very bottom, right here where I'm highlighting, click on that. Keep that PDF on your computer, because that's the game day processes that the coaches, players, spectators, and you as referees must follow every one of your youth games. Any questions about this? As far as also additional information, those that are doing small-sided, that's where we post information about the build outline. You can review that as well as the information in the PDF. Those that do Junior State Cup, and Directors Academy, there's information on how to fill out your sports forms. So look at the messages that we put on your home page. They change, okay? Now, as an official, the only way a computer and a software program can communicate with you is if you have the correct information in your profile. So if you click on my info, see on the far left-hand side where I have it in yellow, my info, you click on that. You can take brief notes during this presentation if you want, but we have also provided videos as to exactly what to do in GameOfficials. Our previous state director of instruction, Mike Wint, he's actually on the line right now, and he published some great how-to videos. So that will go over everything that we're going over right now, okay? One thing of importance, if you happen to change your address, you have access to all this data. However, GameOfficials use zip codes to help assign. there's what they call a travel zip. You can't see it. You have to email myself or Carlos to update your travel zip. But if you do move and change your zip code, let us know, because they use the travel zip to assign games. GameOfficials uses email and text to communicate to you game assignments, changing game assignments, canceling of game assignments. So it's important that you correctly indicate the information that you are putting in. This is my cell number. So when I click on the drop-down button, I want to say that's a cell, because GameOfficials will use that. Now, if you don't want anybody to see this, you can mark it private, okay? However, if you mark it private, the crew that you're working with will not be able to get in touch with you. Now, it's marked automatically private for those under 18. When you turn 18, we ask that you go and uncheck that so others can see your contact information. You can also add secondary contact information here if you want to put your home number there. Email 1 is the primary email, and make sure it's right. If it's wrong, we can't communicate with you. That should be your own unique email, not your mom or dad's, not your wife's or your husband's. This should be your unique email. And click auto emails, go to that. Now you can also set up a secondary email address, and then you could have auto emails go to that as well. Maybe you want to have that private, but then whenever a message goes out, the messages that GameOfficials sends out on our behalf, when we do group mass emails, will go to both of these that you have listed. We encourage you to put an emergency contact information just in case there is an emergency. Now, this is a very important part. And notice how if I click on these little minus buttons, it expands it. This is very important because this indicates how you are going to get notification. We suggest that you get one new game email per game. So every time you get a game, you will get notification by email to the email that you have indicated here in the contact information. In addition to that, all of you have your phones with you pretty much at all times. We suggest clicking all 4 of these radio buttons, and you put in your wireless number, and they're going to ask for your device carrier, and then you can send, see where I am highlighting that? You can send a test message. Make sure that works. This is the only way you get communicated about new game assignments, whether it be email or text. And then a couple of years by law, they started out in California and they had to get it on everybody's system. There was a subscribe, unsubscribe. If you inadvertently click unsubscribe, you are no longer going to be able to get notifications from us. And that's a bad thing. So click on subscribe. When you're done with whatever updates you have, make sure you click at the bottom here, the save, modify user. Do we have any questions about the My Info section of GameOfficials? Okay, great. In addition to that, Eric, as an assigner, will be looking at preferences. So there are local areas divided up throughout the state. We divide it into 7 areas, okay? And go ahead and click the radio button for those areas that you wish to be working out of, okay? And you have to click either yes or no on that, or maybe. But this is your working area preferences. At the bottom here, where you expand miscellaneous preferences, that's where you can put in that I'm only ready to do ARs. Or right now, I only want to do this particular level. This is where you can give specific preferences and notes on your account that all your assigners have access to. There's another section about league and tournament preferences. Eric's going to talk to you about leagues and tournament preferences a little later. So I'm sure he'll come back to this My Preferences section. Probably the most important part on the left-hand side, see where it says My Availability, left-hand side, My Availability. Let's see, GameOfficials is going to run a little slow for me. Bear with me, there we go. Okay, so you can run GameOfficials like this in a 3-month mode, or you can switch to a single month mode, whatever is convenient for you, okay? I'll go ahead and use the single month mode to show you how to set up your availability, but just go back here. See how everything's blue? Everything is blue because I haven't bothered to go in and say, I'm available this day. I have a birthday party or a wedding, or I go to school, or I work on this day, okay? And we'll show you what that all means. But right now, I haven't done anything, so I should not expect to get any games from my assigner.
Unless you like to override those blocks, and sometimes you might get a game.
So
no names being used there.
So let's go for April. April's right around the corner. Let's say I want to not work on April Fool's Day. So I'll click on the 1, and this little pop-up comes up. And on April 1, I don't want to be available. So see where I'm selecting the radio button, not available. Now, if I want it to be not available on every Thursday, I can go ahead and say every week for how many weeks, and every Thursday would duplicate exactly what I'm doing here. So in addition to being in group 1308 that I showed you that you had to switch identity at the very beginning of this presentation, the other thing that you must do is check this radio button. And if for some reason you don't remember what radio button to check, it will not hurt if you just check them all, okay? It will not hurt it at all. So I've checked that I don't want to be available on April Fool's Day. I click Save, and guess what? I have just told my assigners, don't waste your time to assign me a game on April 1st. But I really want to work on Saturday the 3rd and the 4th. See here where we have a start day and an end day. So maybe I want to work the 3rd and the 4th. And I want to make myself available. Once again, make sure at least Michigan Ref Assigning is clicked. And I can save and add that entry. Now I've told my assigner, please put me to work on the 3rd and 4th. Now, this does not guarantee that you're going to get a game. However, the likelihood is a lot more than if you leave yourself blue, because the assigners want you to indicate when you want to work. Let's say on a Wednesday I want to work. However, I don't want to make myself available all day long, okay? Matter of fact, I only want to work from 5 o'clock in the evening, and I want to work no later than 9 p.m. So now I'm just going to be saying I'm available from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock p.m. on the 7th of April. If I want to do that for a couple days, now I'll make myself available from the 7th to the 9th from 5 o'clock to 9 o'clock. Click Save. Is there any questions about availability? It is that simple.
Ron, it says, can you adjust availability by a month at a time if you've already designated your availability for that month?
So if you already made yourself available in green or already made yourself blocked in red, you'll need to do it one at a time, okay? So let's say I made myself available on the 7th and I am no longer available, okay? I need to click the 7th and it's gonna tell me a date that you've selected a date that has an existing available entry. Would you like to edit the existing entry, okay? So on the 7th, I don't no longer want to be available, okay? And I'm just going to say not available at all that entire day. So now I have just updated my availability. Does that answer the question, Jenna?
Yes, it does.
So,
If-
so
Can I
so
ask
let me-
one more question?
let me do this. I am going to basically make myself available the entire month of May. And now I want to go back and change the 19th. And I want to say not available for that particular day. But notice it will not let me change everything in that month to not available. Since you made yourself available previously, you have to do it one day at a time.
I'm going to jump in here, Ron, on a couple things.
Sure.
One, in GameOfficials, the system assumes that you are not available. So if you do nothing, you're not going to get games, nor are we going to know that you have dates that are blocked in case we override those dates. So do your best. We understand that if right now you put your availability in for the month of April, life happens and you happen to get a game and you have family plans. That's why the system gives you the option to accept and decline it. It doesn't force you to accept a game when you're available all the time. Now, there's also a couple questions that have come up with Arbiter versus GameOfficials, and this is going to probably confuse a lot going on because GameOfficials is what the Michigan Referee Committee uses through a lot of the leagues in the state. There are some assigners that still choose to use Arbiter. So for instance, I use Arbiter for indoor games, but GameOfficials for outdoor games. There's some leagues that still use Arbiter for outdoor games in the state, which is fine. As a referee, you just have to do your best to keep both up to date. So there was another question on if you get a game in one, but you have to decline another game. The only way to get out of a game is to email that assigner specific to say, hey, Eric, on May 15th, I just got a game, or I accepted a game the other day, but I can no longer do it because I have a wedding to go to. And our answer is going to be great. We're going to get you off because we understand that going to the wedding is more important than refereeing that soccer game. Now, at the same time, if you contact us 10 a.m. that day of the wedding and you've known of it for 2 months, we're probably going to give you a little bit of hard time just because you've given it to us last minute, but we're still going to find a way to get you covered. So someone just asked about, is it too late to show your availability? As an assigner that assigns a ton of games, I will say it's never too late to add your availability. I mean, I have referees that wait till Friday to add their availability for weekends just because they don't know about their work schedule, their personal life, whatever the case may be. We do get a lot of turnbacks last minute. So they can, we can find ways to fill you in, or you can reach out to the assigner directly. Hank, I'll put my email on here. Send me an email direct and I'll help you a little bit more because it seems like you have a lot more questions directly related to where you're being assigned, and I'm happy to help you. But hopefully that goes over everything and gets us caught up on questions. I'm just reading through in case there's any.
So while Eric's looking over the questions, see in the month of May at the very bottom, it says delete all entries for May. If you want to completely start over for that month, click on that. And guess what? I've just started over for the month of May because I don't want to be available all month long. I can go and individually and or make the group availabilities or blocks as we just went through. Now, as you're making your availabilities, you are going to have hopefully quite a few games. And Eric's going to go over how you can get in touch with the assigners. I'm going to show you a website where that information is found as well. But there's a few different ways to get your assignments. You can click on the far left in yellow, far left where it says My Games. You can click on My Games. And you can show by the year. You can show by the month, by the week, by the day. See the filtering up top? So for instance, in this particular period in 2019, that's showing electronically my schedule. Now, if you want to print out your schedule, on the far left, click on Reports. Then click on Official Schedule. Give the time, the date that you want to have. And let's say I want to show all my games from the January 22nd of 2019 to the end of 2019. I did that because it's not going to take a lot of time. It is going to only choose my report. Now, it would list the games that I would have scheduled here. And on the far right-hand side, you can click the print button. Be warned, GameOfficials is having some issues with Excel reports, so that'll make your system explode. Sometimes PDFs work. Most of the time, the print would work. So that's how you can print off your schedule. On the far left, Reports, and print it out. On your phone, you want to find out what your schedule is, you can just click on My Games. And it'll show
Ron, I just sent you a game just so you know, so people can see how they get it.
So Eric just sent me a game and I just clicked on My Games and notice this pops up on my PC. If I want the game, I just click Accept. If I don't want the game, I'll click Decline. And this is where the reason goes in, okay? Don't be afraid to put in a true reason, okay? The assigner wants to have a relationship with you, okay? A relationship meaning so they can offer you games. So work on that relationship with your assigner. Accept or decline if you're available on the 3rd of April. And once you—
Hang on, before you hit save.
Oh, I'm not going to save it. Then you go on the bottom and click Save, okay?
Click the info balloon to show them who sent them that game.
A lot of people are saying, I've got no idea who assigned me the game. So regardless how it's showing up, you always see a little information balloon to the very left. And this will give you who the assigner is, the cell number of the assigner, the email of the assigner. You can click on here and say, show me directions. And you can click on there and it'll open up a link in Google Maps to give you the address and the directions, depending on how you have your browser and Google set up, driving directions to that specific place. Anything you want to add to that, Eric?
Nope, I just wanted people to see. Now, the one thing that is going to be confusing, especially in this game that I sent you, it says Fozzie Nucha is the assigner, even though I sent it. For those that don't know, in the MSPSP level, there are regional assigners and local assigners. So even though on this game I could be the local assigner, Freddie is the regional assigner. If you send Freddie an email saying, hey, I got this game and I can't do it, he's going to forward it on to the local assigner, so you don't necessarily need to know that. And I know that can be a little confusing, but 90% of the games are going to have the correct assigner listed with their information on it.
And where this also comes important, let's say you've already accepted a game. You click on My Games, it will still show this little eye indicator. And for some reason, something came up and maybe you can't do that game. Figure out who that assigner is. contact them, make a phone call. The closer the game is in the future is when you should heighten the way you send a message. As an example, you have a 10 o'clock game on a Saturday, you do not email the assigner at 9:30 and say, oh, by the way, I can't make this game. I think Eric would not appreciate that. You make a phone call because emergencies come up. Anything you want to add to the accept and or any of the information here, Eric?
So as Ron touched on it, as everyone knows, honesty is the best policy. So with that, if you don't feel well and you can't do a game, we understand it. If you don't want to do a game because you want to go see your friends or you want to go with someone to do anything, let us know and we'll do what we can, because in the end we all work together. And flip side, let's say you have a U10 boys game and Sue needs you to do a U18 state cup match. Email us and say, hey, Sue needs me for a U18 match. Can I give up your U10 game to do it? We're going to do all for it. A lot of, like, Sue and I work together and we talk almost daily to make sure that we're getting the best referees on things. Now, on the flip side, if you just email me and say, hey, I'm dumping my U10 game and don't give me a reason, and then I in turn find out that you took a U18 game from Sue, that's fine because you're doing greater good for what we need to do, but you're not being honest with us. So we might be, as assigners, hesitant to assign you because we know you're just going to find the best game possible. So work with us, and we'll work with you to try and make you, because we know that this is income for some, fun money for others, and just a way to run around and referee some soccer. And we appreciate everyone that's in this. So work with us and we'll work with you.
Hey, Ron, someone is asking in the chat about the YouTube page. So if you could show the link, I know you have the page up right now. And then there was one other question popped up about how game pay is working. So I just want to make sure if you guys could address that, please.
Sure. Let me bring up this and then Eric can go over GoPay. Okay. So we have our website, which is all one word, michiganrefs.org. Okay. michiganrefs.org. That's our website. As a referee, you click on referees. You can click on get games. This is where you'll see a lot of the same information that we have gone over in a lot more depth. There's 4 great videos there. Go through it. There's also a list of all the assigners and what leagues they assign, where they're located, their phone number, their email. Click on that. That will populate on your screen, okay? There's information about recertification. If you don't have your badge, you'll go through this registration wizard, okay? All of you, if you're grassroots, would have gotten a letter from our performance observation manager if you've been officiating for at least 3 years about upgrading. That's where information's found here and other pertinent information. We have various videos in our resource section. A very nice presentation on professionalism, information about uniforms, okay? If you know somebody that wants to become a referee, click here and that will get them started with registration. You can also click on the mentor coaches section. We don't have it just for the mentor coaches. You can click on there and you'll see that there will be information pertinent and almost duplicate of what some of you have already seen in the research law of the game changes for this year. We've got some great PDFs, some great information about equipment and resources, information about the Learning Center on US Soccer. There are some great resources on challenges, handling, offside, tactical fouls. a lot of how-to, okay? So don't be afraid to open up those links. Now, there was a specific question about the YouTube. Let me get the home page back up and running here. See in the red right here where it says YouTube? Click on there and you can subscribe to the YouTube channel. Every Wednesday, we publish a 2 to 3 minute short instructional video, and I guarantee that you will learn something new at least once a month if you watch those weekly videos. There's some great content, and you'll be able to go and look at the past 50 some videos that we've released, because we've been releasing them since March of last year. In addition to that, in the blue right here, it says subscribe to our newsletter. So put your email right there. Click on subscribe, and you're going to get notification as soon as our newsletter comes out, which is released on the 1st of every month. You want to go and look at past issues? You can look at March, February, January, December. You can watch and review every single newsletter that we have ever published. You can click here at the top banner, and that will also give you a different menu for the newsletters. And notice it gives all of the release dates. There is something to be learned in every single one of these publications. Before I turn it over, another point of resources is found at Safe Sport, at the Learning Center. And I'll make sure that I chat out these links when I get back to my normal screen. But you've got learning.ussoccer.com. You click on referee program. And if nothing else, see where I have highlighted resources? Click on that. There is 4 pages now? Well, 3 pages now worth of great resources, because you all should be reading something on a weekly basis just to become better at your matches. Maybe you'll get yelled at 1 or 2 times less on the field if you correctly administer the restart according to the laws of the game. A lot of good information here. So I'm going to stop talking, and I'm going to answer questions if there are any pertinent to what I just went over.
I'm going to go over a couple questions that came up about people were asking about the electronic whistle allowed. It is. And then if you're wearing a mask and you have a regular whistle, just delay your whistle, pull down your mask, blow your whistle, and lift your mask back up. I mean, we get it's going to be delayed, but just do your best. I get that this is not an ideal situation for everyone that's in this, but we're making it to do the best we can. Someone asked about game pay. I don't remember exactly. Maybe this will be asked later, but how is game pay working? Every league and tournament is going to be different. I know MSYSA, which is the sanctioning body for what we most do our games under, are trying to push to go to the electronic payment, so that way there's not the touching of cash and it's all contactless. I know most of the tournaments that I do and some of the leagues that I assign have gone to GoPay, which is an online payment system. Ron, real quick, can you pull up your browser and share your screen?
Sure. Where do you want me in GameOfficials?
No, go to my website, which is soccerassigning.com.
Okay, yeah.
Eric, can I read a couple questions while he's doing that?
Yep.
Okay. How should I know what sites to go on and what purpose each site has? I feel like there's multiple sites and I'm not sure which one to go to for certain things. I think they're asking in regards to maybe the Michigan Refs website.
So let me share my screen. Anything that has to do with your assignments will be found on the GameOfficials, MichiganRefs.GameOfficials website. That is where all of the assignments will be found, okay? That's where you put in your availability pertaining to the assignments, okay? From a resource standpoint, for information, additional information that that you may need, laws of the game, example videos, that's where we have our website, michiganrefs.org. Consider this your point of reference for resource or information. Additionally, US Soccer, which is learning.ussoccer.com, is the place where they now hold all of your registration information. All of you should have an account at this learning center. See where my name is in the far right, top right-hand side? If you hover over your name and click on profile, it will show the information that US Soccer has for you, your USSF ID. It will show the current licenses that you hold. It'll show your email information. This is all editable. You can download your various license certificates. If you are 18 years or older, this is where you will find your annual Safe Sport Train certificate. Notice mine expires on the 15th because I took it on November the 15th of 2020. So it's good for a year. If somebody asks you for the certificate, click the download. So once again, this is a resource place, okay? US Soccer has even more. It has information about your own personal profile, but this also has resources and an area for frequently asked questions. So does that answer the question that was posted out there?
Yes.
And you can take yourself off mute if you want to articulate it differently than you did in the chat. Okay, hearing none. Eric, this is the site you asked me to go to.
Click on GoPay. On the black in the top.
There we go. Yep.
So for those that have questions on GoPay, this is a site that is not affiliated with the Michigan Referee Committee. This is something I've done for myself for tournaments, and it will walk you through the steps on how to set up your GoPay account in case you get games that say paid via GoPay. You don't have to set up a GoPay account if you're not doing the games. It'll take you, I think, 5 minutes to set it up, and that's if you're going very, very slow. So it's always good to have this done. And let's say you end up doing a game that is GoPay and you don't set up an account. You don't get paid till you set up an account. So if you just want the money to keep racking up as kind of a savings account, and then at the end of the season, create a GoPay account to deposit in your account. Now, instead of getting 20 bucks, 30 bucks here or there, you'll get $400 or $500. So a lot of referees look at it different. And then the only other thing that I'd like you to click on here, Ron, is if you scroll to the top and click tournament listings. For those that might be interested in doing any tournaments that I sign, this is where the list is updated. And it tells you at the top on how to get into them. And then Ron, just one more favor, if you can click on Game Officials. Nope, sorry, at the top on your tabs, go into Game Officials itself.
Oh, you wanted to go to mine. Okay, yep.
Yep. So on the left-hand side where it says My Preferences, and then if you click League/Tournament Preferences, this is where you sign up in Game Officials to register for specific leagues or tournaments. So for instance, if Ron wanted to go to the T-Base Cherry Capital Cup, he would click that, and then at the bottom he would click Save. And then I know I'm kind of bouncing back and forth here, but the last one on the left-hand side where it says My Payments, this is going to tell you if you have a 1099 on file at the very top. It's going to show you where your payments are, and then it's going to show you your saved pay method.
Can everybody see this screen that says GoPay?
Yes.
Okay. And just, I did chat out Eric's soccer assigning website in the chat. That would be this one, where he went over how he has a GoPay example tournament listing. So I chatted that out, okay? You should have that link. Click on that link in your chat. It'll open it up in your browser. And then after we're all done, you can go ahead and save that or make it a favorite.
John, I saw your note about how to set up assigners. I'm not going to go through that on here. Let's set up a time and I'll go through that with you, because it does take a little bit to set it up the first time. But once it's set up, it's very, very easy. Cullen just asked, what's GVSA using for their pay? I know for the tournaments, they're using GoPay. The last I talked to John Corbett, they're doing cash at the field, but there was talk about going electronic pay. As assigners, we're trying our best to notate in the game notes. It'll say on the left, right underneath the game number, that if it's a GoPay game, or if it doesn't say anything, that assume it's cash. We're trying our best. There are times where we may not have it on there. If for some reason you show up to a field and they say, hey, I'm sorry, we don't have cash to pay you, it's paid via GoPay. I'm sorry ahead of time. I will guarantee you that you get paid, whether it's a game I assign or it's a game someone else assigns. We'll make sure that you get paid. Please don't just walk away from the game because you don't like that you're not getting cash at the field. So we're just trying to follow what the MSYSA guidelines are. And then as far as tournaments go, the biggest reason that a lot of the tournaments went to GoPay versus cash is when you get the cash and you walk out of the bank with anywhere from $20,000 to $60,000 in small unmarked bills, you feel like a drug dealer and you don't feel comfortable walking around with that type of money. So we wanted to go to the safest realm, as well as a lot of referees that were getting paid put their money in bags. And I can't tell you how many times a referee went back to their bag and their money was gone. So we're trying to do it right now in COVID to be safe for everyone, as well as make sure that everyone gets paid for what they're doing. I don't have anything else unless Ron or Jenna does.
Yep. So,
Yeah, Eric. Oh, sorry. Go ahead, Ron.
so Eric and the assigners put a lot of time into assigning people. They publish a game to you, they send it. Do them a favor, accept or decline it in a very timely manner. I think all of them would like you to accept or decline right away. The system will automatically strip it off your system. It'll automatically decline on your part in 72 hours. Do not make that happen. Do not let that happen, because basically you're telling them, I don't want the games. I don't care about the games. And you won't get future games. Okay. They don't want to waste their time. How many, raise your hand, how many have a job And for you to get paid, you should have to do that job 3 and 4 times over before you actually get paid for it. That's what you're asking your assigners to do when you let the system automatically strip it off, or if you make yourself available and you decline the game. Okay, so help them out.
There was a question about tournament wearing home team uniforms, not wanting to switch, so they use the home team must change excuse. How strict are we with this situation, as well as proper uniforms, especially with State Cup, MSPSP, and NCL games? You got to rely back on the rules of the league that you're following. Some tournaments tell you that home team wears white and away team wears dark. Other tournaments tell you home team wears dark and away team wears white. Follow the league that you're refereeing in. Someone made a comment saying that you can also get paid check or in a bank account and GoPay. To get paid by check, they do charge you a fee. I don't know what it is, but a bank transfer or an ACH is absolutely free. One thing to remember, and this was brought up, and I forget to bring this up sometimes, is any referees that make over a $600 amount from a single club will get a 1099 at the end of the year. And for those that don't know what that means, it means you will end up having to pay taxes on that. So just be aware of that, as I know some people watch that real tight, and if they get to 590, they stop. Another question is this method of payment noted in the game assignment? We try to do our best with all of those, and we try and notate it and let people know.
Someone's asking about fitness testing.
Yeah, what's that all about? Do you want to articulate that? Take yourself off mute.
What? Yeah, Zach
Pavlik.
You guys you now have the opportunity to unmute yourself. So if you want to ask a question, go ahead.
Also, someone asked about setting their availability in GameOfficials if they're going to a tournament. So I don't know if that was asked a long time ago. It was kind of buried in the chat. And then it's $600 per one team or one league.
To my knowledge, it's one league. So if you were to say do the Jaguar tournament and you made $599, and then you went and did the Traverse City tournament and you made $500, and then you did the Midwest United tournament, it's $500. That's 3 separate leagues. But if you did the Grand Rapids tournament in the spring and then the Grand Rapids tournament in the fall, because the Grand Rapids club is the one paying you, then you'd make over $600.
Well, let me articulate this question that just came up. Are refs allowed to tell players to keep their mask over their mouth and nose? I've had a bunch of trouble during my own games with players not wearing masks correctly. But the refs keep saying they're not allowed to enforce the mask policy. Similar to various laws of the game, similar to other situations, be proactive. You're there at pregame. You're observing what's going on. You're seeing them not wear the mask correctly. As a suggestion, what I would say, hey, coach, don't put me in this situation. Can you make sure that your players just pull it up? Now, if it's inadvertent, it goes down and they're pulling it back up, don't be micromanaging every single one of those instances. But MSYSA wants to know if it's consistent and persistent misuse of the mask. If they are intentionally dropping down that mask and not wearing them, that's when you report on the game sheet or by other means, whether it be writing an email to MSYSA, but they prefer it on the game report as to the specifics of that situation. Do yourself a favor. Do not micromanage the instances where they just come down and they pull it back up. It's going to happen, okay? It's the persistent and consistent misuse. As a suggestion, like everything else, as I mentioned earlier, be proactive. Coach, help me out here, okay? We all want to keep on playing tomorrow. You know the process. You keep your team doing it. And do it in a respectful respectful manner, and you'll be treated respectfully. If you do it with a condescending type of attitude, expect the same in return. So hopefully that addresses that particular concern and how to manage it on your games.
Thanks, Ron. Oh, sorry.
No,
Eric? Ron?
Yeah,
I got a quick one. I play for a league that actually, and I'm asking if we might get here. I play for a league that actually, once your mask goes below your nose, you just switch possession. They blow the whistle and boom. Do you think we might get to there?
let's not bring, that's,
That's a big one.
So,
Yeah.
I know.
so currently, the coaches and players, and by that relationship, the parents, answer to MSYSA. MSYSA has told us and them that they do not want us soccer officials enforcing the mandatory mask policy. They do not want to put us in that position. They think that they have adults on the sidelines and they should respect the process. Everybody knows it. So they know our job is tough enough, and that is their position right now. And I don't see that changing as long as the mandate of the mask is enforced. However, this is a very fluid situation, and I may be eating words a week from now. But as of right now, that is for sure until at least April the 19th, okay? But that is MSYSA's position, why they are not telling us to enforce it.
Oh, Ron, just to follow up with what you just said, people are still asking if a player refuses to pull their masks up, is it a cautionable offense, or if a referee feels unsafe due to consistent and persistent lack of mask wearing, what should they do?
Good question. The lack of wearing the mask correctly is not a cautionable offense. Hence, we are not enforcing it. We enforce the laws of the game with our whistle, with our restarts, with our misconducts, whether it be yellow card or red card. We are not enforcing this, okay? However, if you don't feel safe in your match, just like everything else, whether the pitch is not safe, the weather's not safe, if you don't feel safe, don't do the game. We will back you leaving the game because you are put, if you feel yourself is in an unsafe situation, you must report it as such on the back of the game sheet, but we are not going to force you to be in an unsafe environment. I would like to hope if you are proactive at the beginning and make that mention, maybe if you're proactive at halftime, hey coach, I know we're trying or whatever you can do, maybe you can talk to your spectators in a respectful manner, they'll respect you. But if anytime you feel unsafe, I will not force you to be there. You are entitled to leave.
And I just to add on to what you said about masks, because I had the situation in the fall where a coach for a MSP game came up to me and was like, we don't want to play this game if their other team does not wear mask, and so just kind of a piece of advice from what I did. I don't know if I handled it kind of correctly. You could probably tell me. But I just said, to the coach, I only can enforce the laws of the game. I'll let them know, right? But I'm not going to actively enforce the whole wearing of the mask ordeal.
All right, so there's a question, how should you say you're leaving? You blow your whistle? You go at the halfway line? Coaches, come here. I feel I'm being put in a situation where my safety is at risk. So I am suspending this match, and I'll be writing it up as such that at this time I suspended the match for this reason. That's how you inform both teams as such. Okay?
Okay, because I was kind of wondering because we still played the match, but it was just like, I just can't force, I can't make them, keep their mask on, as it's not part of our job. And that's why I noted to the coach, right? And she understood, but it was just like, that's kind of the interaction. I didn't know if I even told the other coach, like, hey, this is what they said. I'm following procedures, but
MSYSA has our backs.
Yeah.
Please report it. Just because you may feel that, yeah, I could take care of this, worry about the person coming after you. So if you feel that their actions are putting something at risk and are not adhering to the current return to play, report it.
Yeah.
MSYSA will do something about it, okay?
Okay.
And
And I think probably one of the good ways of handling that, or diplomatic ways of handling that, is rather than, okay, no one's wearing the mask, coaches, I'm going to stop the game. Try to at least be diplomatic and, okay, I really would like to, have this game continue, but I need to have everyone from all teams, comply with what the requirement is.
Right.
And I need coaches' help with that. Otherwise, I'm forced to.
so
And I just think that if we're going to be real sticklers on that and, say, okay, no, I can't play this game because I don't feel safe. It's not just because we may not feel safe, but we're looking out for all the participants.
Hey, Ron, just to
so-
follow up, Ron, if I could, just to follow up on Mark's point in the last one. What if, be very direct. What if one of the teams said, I don't want to play because they're not wearing their masks and as a team, we don't feel safe. Can you discuss that?
Yeah, that's the situation. The exact situation Dave just mentioned. That's the situation I was kind of in. Like, how do I actually go about that?
So you blow if it's during play, you blow your whistle, you bring both coaches over. Coach, what's your concern? The coaches could say, I don't want to play if they don't do that. And you will be suspending the match. If the grown-ups cannot put in place what is supposed to be happening, just suspend the match because of it. You cannot force a team to play because they feel unsafe. I don't want you to be forced to officiate if you feel unsafe, okay? And I think we've given enough examples that will help protect you, okay? If a situation comes up, report it. If you want additional advice how to handle in the future, I'm sure Eric, I know I will entertain various emails to how to handle it. There was a question as far as, did the refs previously have to wear masks? So in the fall, the executive order was clear about players, team officials, spectators. So officials, referees did not have to wear the mask if they chose not to in the fall. The executive order released in the late winter of this year states participants, for which MSYSA includes participants being referees, players, coaches, spectators. So that was the rewording of the executive order using the word participants. So that's why everyone must wear a mask now, because of the change in the wording of the executive order, okay? And as we get updates, your home page for Game Officials will have that information as posted by MSYSA. Click on that link.
Let me go back one thing here. When the example was brought up of Team A playing Team B, and Team B is not wearing their facial coverings and Team A wants to leave, question that you're going to get asked is, does that mean the team forfeits? Your answer is, you are the referee of the match and you are to report what happens. You do not ever answer if a team forfeits. I'm going to make that one more time. Please do not ever say if a team forfeits. You are the referee. You can report it to the league. Because if you tell a team that they're going to forfeit, it doesn't, parents and coaches, and it just, don't put yourself in that situation. Let the league make the decision. Let Ron, let myself, let a lot of other people be that bad person. Don't make that decision, please.
There was a question about maybe a non-MSYSA affiliated. Whenever you're working a game, make sure you know the law, the rules of play for that particular league. And US Club is not US Youth. And they may have their own interpretation, and that's where you click on the little I next to your assignment and talk to your signer and get more specific directions out of that. Not turning this into anything political, but the executive order that I read was all youth sports participants, when they cannot maintain social distancing, must wear masks. So.
There's
Let me
a
answer
question about paperwork too.
Yep, let me hit that one. So the paperwork thing is going through a bunch of different changes, and it's an ever-changing situation, just like COVID is. I know that there are leagues that are trying to go to all electronic. I know that there's leagues that are still doing paper, and I know that there's leagues that are saying don't worry about it, which I know is completely against everything that we've learned, and we go under. Do the best you can, and we're going to try and get more info from those leagues as it comes to us. I know that, like in tournament sanctioning, the whole thing's changes where we don't even have to check in teams anymore. Once they've checked in, it's done. But as far as MSP Junior State Cup, keep checking the website, and we'll do our best to let you know.
I was perusing the comments. I emailed an assigner about a week ago and still haven't got a response. What do I do? You know who your assigner is? The assigner's phone numbers and emails are there. Give them a holler, because they're getting inundated with emails. I know I'm getting over 100 emails a day, and I probably don't come close to the emails Eric is getting. So if there's something of importance that you want to inquire on, drop a dime on them, call them up. Right, Eric?
And follow up if you don't hear back from them.
Yeah, I try to do my best to respond, and just to give you a number, since we've been on this phone call, I've had 136 emails.
Wow.
So if no one has any more questions, we are just over that hour timeline, and we are trying to keep it to that. If you have specific questions, we can stay on for a couple more, but if you don't have questions on this in general, we will post the video on the Michigan Referee Committee YouTube page. And thanks for joining us tonight.
Remember, it's a game. Have fun, okay? When you don't have fun, then don't do it, okay? But try and keep the fun in this sport.